day. One of my favorite stories from the Gospels is the story about the blind boy that Jesus healed. And afterward, the Sanhedrin court brought him in to interrogate him about Jesus. And I love his response. He said, basically, I don't have an opinion of whether Jesus is good or bad. All I know is I was blind, now I can see. I love that because he just completely bypassed the theology part and went straight to the personal experience part. I can't tell you about Jesus, he said. All I can tell you is this time last week, I was blind, now I'm not. The one thing I can tell you about Jesus is he can heal blind people. A little while ago, I met Brian Anderson Payne over at Starbucks. He wanted to talk to me about doing his radio show. And I was commending him for the great job that he's done with turning his own story into a parable and a success story of surviving failure. And I referred to this story about the blind boy, and I said, the problem with too many ministries today is people get bogged down with determining what's good or bad about God or about their theology, and they don't really talk about what's happened to them. In my early days, I was quick to say, God said this, God said that. Nowadays, I'm much more inclined to say, this is what I personally believe, this is what has personally worked for me. If it works for you, that's great. If not, it's not a deal breaker. We can still have relationship. I'm not going to tell you that I'm right. And furthermore, you don't have to be wrong for me to be right. We can both be right. I believe in the concept of namaste, but I will tell you what has happened to me personally. Church in the Now had a brand trademark. I hired an advertising agency to help us think of it. I ended up thinking of it myself. I could have saved myself that money. Anyway, it was real people experiencing the real God in the real world. I love that phrase. I use it now for Metron. A lot of people said they loved it too until I came out. When I did, they said, whoa, we weren't expecting you to be that real. And of course, I lost a lot of people. That's ancient history, water under the bridge. But I was trying to explain it to somebody the other day. They said, why did you lose so many relationships? And I said, well, people weren't upset that I said I was gay. They were upset that I said I was gay and was okay with it and not trying to change it, not trying to get deliverance. I was good with myself as I am and as I have always been. And the thing that really pushed some people over the edge is that I stayed in the ministry and still know that I'm anointed. And that's not just my opinion. I still have people on a weekly basis who listen to me, and they say that it resonates with them and that in their opinion, God is speaking through me. So it's not just me making it up. It's more than the mouth of two or three witnesses. I could have done what other ministers have done who have either been caught in a scandal or they've been outed. I could have said I needed deliverance. I could have gone to counseling. I could have a deliverance testimony, which of course is bogus. So many of these ministers and gospel singers who were outed as being gay then went through deliverance. I've seen them on the cover of Christian magazines talking about how they're not gay anymore. And then they'll come to Atlanta, and in the gay community, people see them out at gay clubs and obviously on a date with somebody that's gay. It's because you can't be delivered from who you are. Sexual orientation is not a demon. It's the way that you're wired. And, I've talked all about this before. That's not what this episode is about. It's just that I could have said what everybody wanted me to say. I could have just said, oh, I'm being framed, or this is spiritual warfare, which other ministers have done. And because that's what church people want to believe, those guys are able to keep their jobs. I have too much integrity to do that. And like I said, I don't believe there's anything wrong with me. I'm very aware that Ken and I both sort of confront a lot of gay stereotypes. I wasn't outed by a scandal. We're married. We're monogamous. We're committed. I'm not effeminate. He's not effeminate. I'm not attracted to effeminate men. We're good with both our ex-wives. We're good fathers. We're good grandfathers. I'm still anointed. I still have a ministry. I still function like I always did. All those things that people some straight people, especially some straight church people, think are the way of the transgressor. None of that is true. I'm blessed. I'm happy. I'm prosperous. I'm anointed. I'm loved. I'm committed. All those things, I wear those as a badge of honor. Um, and I also know that history is on the side of people like me. This younger generation has been raised on truth. They grew up watching reality TV. All of this religious stuff that's kind of like a house of cards, it's not going to fly in the next generation because younger people see through what is bogus and they call it like it is. People who are my generation and older, a lot of times they don't want to know the truth and they don't know how to make the truth of somebody's experience line up with their theological structure that they've worked out with their own belief system. And if somebody's reality confronts that, they're terrified of it. Hebrews 12 says everything that can be shaken will be shaken. I'm saying bring it on. Those of us who have already told the truth and embraced our truth, we're not afraid of truth. I love truth. Truth makes you free. I don't waste any of my time with regrets, but 5 years ago when I came out and I was having my little 15 minutes of fame, I did the interview circuit. I did a lot of shows, but I turned some shows down. I turned down something for HBO. I turned down Dr. Phil, and I turned down the Wendy Williams show. I turned them down because at the time I was having a real exodus of people from the church, and we were about to lose the building, and I felt like people were upset that I was getting so much favorable press coverage about coming out, and so I just kind of put a stop to it. And now I realize that those people were homophobes and they were going to leave anyway, and I should have just done those shows. But the one that I actually regret the most, if I were going to have regrets, is Wendy Williams. I was watching her this morning before I left the house, and she's such a great communicator and really understands her audience. And the reason she's a great communicator is because she is completely candid about herself. She makes jokes about her wig, talks about her physical imperfections, and yet has a really strong self-esteem. And she's just so real that she attracts real people. And you can tell people love to be interviewed by her because she asks the questions that everybody's thinking already. So, Wendy, if you're watching this, call me back. I will do your show this time, and I'll wear nice shoes so you can put them on shoe cam. No regrets, but if I had it to do over, I would have done every show that everybody asked me to do. So if they start asking again, I'm gonna say yes this time. There's a quote that I love. Can't remember who said it, but it says, "I would rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not." And I didn't say that quote, but I certainly believe it. And I want to encourage you to be who you are, embrace who you are, love your truth, don't sell out, don't say what people want to hear, say what is the truth. Because at the end of the day, it's only the truth that's going to stand with your relationship with God, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your significant others. The age of lying it's passing away, and people are finding out that it's okay to walk with God in the cool of the day naked and not hide behind fig leaves. So be yourself, love yourself just like you are. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Have an awesome day.